Today is the first lecture. This is the first lecture on developing a game model and implementing a formation. So if we look at the field here, we split it into three different parts. You have the defending, your defending third, your middle third, and your attacking third. Now, when we take a look at a formation, formations are different and they change to each part of the field that they're in. The reasons behind this is there's four phases of the game. There's defensive organization, and we can use an example of that. If your team was sitting in a low block here and you're very organized and you have good shape, defensive organization. If you win the ball, you go into attacking transition where you try to work the ball out of the back and try to develop an attack. The next from attacking transition is now you keep the ball and you move in, you move farther on, and you set your players up in what's called attacking organization. Once you lose the ball, you go back to defensive transition, so you start to transition into defense, and then once your team is organized, it's called defensive organization. So I'm going to use the 3-5-2 formation as an example. So we're going to say we're sitting in a low block in our defensive third of the field. So the 3-5-2, the way I like to play it, is actually going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in the back line. So the next line will have 1, 2, 3 midfielders, a forward that's coming back to pressure the ball, and one that stays high. This is obviously kind of if the ball is in this area right here. So you're looking at 5-3-1-1. And that would be what your formation looks like in a low block in the defensive third of the field. This is defensive organization. Now, if we're going to go out of this and we win the ball, say we win the ball right here, we go into attacking transition into the middle third of the field. At this point, the wingers start to get wide, right? Everybody starts to open up. Striker might peel off. Midfielders start to open up. And we start to work our way in attacking transition into this part of the field. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like when we move into that middle part of the field. Things look a little different from a formation perspective. So the phase of the game has changed now into, we're going to have 1, 2, 3 now, center backs. The wingers have now gotten wide for us. We'll have defensive center mid, and we'll have another center mid here, attacking center mid, and we have a forward and forward. So now it's starting to look more like a 3-5-2. So you have 3, call it 5, and we have 2 up top. So as you can see, the key is to work the ball from your low block in the defensive third. In order to work into attacking transition, you have to link up a few passes in here. If you're not capable of linking up passes, it doesn't give your team time enough to start to open up the field. You can see this in games when Barcelona pressed Man City in the Champions League a couple years ago. Man City had a low defensive block, and very rarely were they ever able to even counterattack or hold the ball and move out of their defensive low block. They sat there almost the entire game because Barcelona's pressure was so great they weren't able to make 3 or 4 passes, right? So again, now we've attacking transition and we're starting to organize our attack. The next phase is getting this 3-5-2 into the attacking area of the field. And the formation is going to change again. I'll show you how that's going to change once we enter into the attacking part of the field. Draw that center line for you again. There's the center line. Perfect. So now, as we're really into attack, we have our 3 center backs, correct? And our wingers are going to be pushed up really, really high now. 1 winger, forward, forward, winger. Now you have 4 players across the top. A very attacking mindset. You'll have your number 10 sitting in behind this, and you can even send another midfielder who can probe if the ball's on this side. Say our center back has the ball. We have another midfielder here, and a midfielder sitting in, right? This is our number 6 probably sitting in. So now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're looking at 6 players now who can get into this attack. Now, if this center back, if you want to be really flexible in the way you play this, the center back starts to attack, and maybe we balance off here with the 2 center backs, and maybe this one stays home to make 3 players. And now you have 6 to 7 players in the attack. Again, this doesn't look like a 3-5-2 anymore. It kind of looks like a 3-1-2-4. So again, this is how formations can change. You started off with 5-3-1-1, and then you transition to the middle third of the field, and now you're in a full 3-1-2-4. Much different, right? So when I look at the word formation, and my kind of philosophy on formation is keep it flexible. The formation should just be a general guideline, a way to organize your team so everybody kind of knows the roles and responsibilities that need to be filled. But at the same time, there's a nice fluidness and a nice kind of ability for these players to fill spaces that need to be filled, and other players will recognize maybe spaces that need to be covered defensively. So give you an example that, you have the number 6, the number 8, and the number 10. These guys can operate, and they can rotate if you really want them to be ultra flexible. Hey, maybe the number 10 actually comes back and the number 6 makes a surge forward, and he makes a surge forward. So now your number 10 became your number 6. Your number 6 went forward. Your number 8 went forward. Maybe the game, it's a little later in the game and you're going to manage the game a little differently. So maybe you keep your number 8 home and your number 6 home, and maybe only your number 10 goes forward. So now you're attacking with 5 and you have a little extra defensive cover here. Formations, again, there's flexibility, there's philosophy that goes on, and you have to teach your players how to be good decision makers. So for this first lecture, what I want you to keep in mind is defensive, middle, attacking, defensive organization. Once you win the ball, attacking transition. Once you move up the field and you get positioned, attacking organization. Once you lose the ball, now it's defensive transition. So if you lose the ball, defensive transition. We got to talk about what's your philosophy that you're going to put into your game model. What's your game model about defense? Is it you lose the ball and press, 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 and we trap the ball here and we immediately, it depends. We're going to have to talk about that. But that's defensive transition, and then defensive organization is when you get set. So we'll talk about that in lecture number 2. Hopefully all that made sense to you.